Stage 5 of the Tour this year hits the cobbles of northern France, and this brings with it a really specific demands on the equipment the riders use. One look at Matt here riding a section of pavé shows that this is terrain that pushes road bikes to their limit. Although there is 140 kilometres of smooth tarmac, the bikes have to withstand 15 kilometres of brutally rough cobbles. So what will the teams be changing and why? Now this is Garmin Sharp's bike for the cobbles. This is the Cervelo R3 Mud. Now the head mechanic has told us that they're keeping it exactly the same as they would for Paris-Roubaix. They've clearly done their homework too. They know that it's going to be a seriously tough stage. So this is Sebastian Langeveld's bike, and it's exactly what he rode back in April. Trek Factory Racing kindly lent us one of their spare bikes for our own Cobbles Recon. The Domani was designed almost specifically for this terrain, also sharing slightly longer geometry like the Cervelo to add stability. Trek differs from its competition though with the addition of the ISO speed decoupler at the junction of the seat stays and the top tube, which adds a bit of extra cushioning and even helping with traction in a small way. Now for just about every other race of the season, Langeveld will use Shimano's Di2, but the team said that for the demands of the cobbles, he uses mechanical. So what that means essentially is that it's a little bit less sensitive to fingertips. With Di2, you don't have to move your fingers hardly at all to change gear, and that's not necessarily a good thing over the cobbles as your fingers vibrate and potentially end up in a gear that you don't want to be in. So for this one stage, he uses mechanical Dura-Ace. Other changes that they've made are the wheels. These are Mavic specific Cosmics for Paris-Roubaix, so they're a little bit thicker, they're a bit wider to accommodate the thicker tubs, because the teams run massively thick tyres for that stage. Because the cobbles are so rough, they run thick tyres to give them more traction, better puncture resistance, and then also more grip. So they're actually running 27mm tubs, whereas they normally run either 23s or possibly 25s. The Trek Factory Racing team will be running 27s as well, and with this shot you can clearly see why. Matt is using 23s on the left and 27s on the right. Look closely and you can see that at exactly the same pressure, the 23 compresses all the way to the rim over each cobble. This is when pinch punches occur, so you can really see the advantages of the 27. Although they don't eliminate impact punctures, they do reduce the risk significantly. He'll also change one other thing on his gears, and that's down at the chain rings. Normally he'll run 39-53, as will just about every other rider in the peloton. But again, because Roubaix is so flat, there's no climb, so he doesn't need a 39. So what they do is they put a 44 in a ring on, which gives them something to push against on the cobbles, and they can actually use that chain ring, whereas if it was a 39, they would never touch it for the whole stage. But this is the bike of one of the big GC favourites, Vincenzo Nibali. Now, it's a really interesting looking machine because it's a mix of very cutting edge technology and also very, very retro. So, it's got the specialised Roubaix frame. Now, crucially for Vincenzo, this is going to feel exactly the same as his tarmac. The top tube's the same length, the handlebars are the same distance away, but the bike itself is 2 centimetres longer. And that's because he's got longer chainstays and a longer trail at the front. The chainstays are going to be helping accommodate the massive tyres he's got on. So he's running 27s. Now we talked about the wheels, but this is quite a talking point. There's not many guys going to be running aluminium rims in the Tour de France, but I suspect Astana are probably the only team doing it. These are really retro Ambrosian Nemesis. We've not seen them for quite some time on the cobbles of Roubaix. Now, with the exception of the frame, this looks very much like a bike that's been put together by a team that doesn't spend much time on the cobbles. Now, this specialist kit is all well and good, but the dangers of cobbles are for many actually less than the roads that precede them. That's because all the riders know that it's important to be at the front of the bunch for pavé. And unfortunately for these dangers, there's no tech at all to help.